But, and of course, WoW, because, you know, we have no life.
You don't.
Right, guys?
But who doesn't like WoW? Actually, a lot of people.
Yeah, I was about to say, you just made it terrible.
I know.
We're screwed.
Yeah, but before we get this underway, Trent, you should probably make sure everything's functioning right.
Okay, then. Hold on.
Just saying.
Is it talking?
Sorry about this. Just making sure everything's working.
Assuming it's working. It says we're live.
I'm looking at the viewer list, and it's just me, you, Timmy, and Devin.
Playing World of Warcraft gets Rift commercial.
Anyway.
Made Rift. I forgot who made Rift.
Not to discuss that here. Anyway,
Isn't that what we're
you
gonna
sure
do?
You sure it's live? Because all I'm seeing is sorry, we are offline.
It's live. He just doesn't put the picture up.
Good night. Good night.
Okay, we'll
mean,
put
like,
the picture up, Trent. We're
You
gonna
can
start
even just
this
like mouse over and it says that we're live.
Yeah, I know.
Don't do that.
We're gonna start this thing. Fuck you, we're gonna do it live.
Nobody's gonna watch.
Don't say it had and makes us cry.
And cry like a bitch.
Okay.
It's live, there's just no World of Warcraft up there.
I put up the scene too, so the picture should be up.
Picture's not up. Have to just like refresh or something.
I'll try to re-enter and see how things go.
It's okay. This is different like every single live stream ever.
Both.
So we're not different. I wish we were.
Okay, well, okay, I think we got it working now. I think.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Okay.
It's gonna look really professional for a second. Just bear with us.
Well, as
of right now, we have only one viewer.
that's fine.
I was making that more so for the recording, but okay.
Okay.
Hey, we just
Well,
started.
as we're waiting for the video to start, I think we should just get along with the discussion, as is. The topic we'll be discussing tonight is the future of the gaming industry and how greed affects it. And I'm just going to start out with a simple statement, which will make everyone in the world hate me. I didn't care for Skyrim that much.
I agree.
I hate you.
Yep, exactly. Haters gonna hate. Anyway, just had to get that off my chest. I didn't even really care for Oblivion. I mean, it was better than Skyrim, but
Meh.
It was.
anyway, we're gonna focus right now, I believe, on what cripples the gaming industry right now, and that has to be a stalemate of ideas. And in my belief, there isn't many games out today that are actually creative and new ideas. That bring at least majority new ideas to the table. So,
I guess
Ryan,
it really depends on. Sorry, that
Ryan,
doesn't really.
just like come up with a couple games you think that are actually kind of creative. Some examples.
Minecraft definitely one of those creative sandboxes that is going to be good no matter what happens to it, because it's more community-based now.
What was
what?
creative about it compared to previous games?
More of how the community is involved in everything.
The community? Yeah, well, yeah, I could see that, but that was sort of...
Yeah, because you know how Notch is now trying to make an API so to make modding like universal. Anyone can do it without having to go through all this really hard process of making their own APIs.
Yeah.
I thought
yeah.
Jeb was doing that, but
It's
Oh.
Jeb. It's all the coders working together.
I'm sorry. That's just like my OCD. Just
Proceed.
like if it's not right,
Yes,
I'll
if
just
I mention
freak
Notch or
out.
Jeb, it means all the coders.
Okay, then. Well, Trent, what about you? Examples of new creative games recently?
Actually, to be honest, I haven't been paying attention that much, but like
The most recent
the
creative
most
game.
recent. Well, define recent. Like, how far back
I
would you
don't
want?
care as long as it's not in the Stone Ages.
Well, I thought Tetris was creative. But seriously, you know, I personally thought that FTL was actually pretty creative. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the game. It looks pretty, it looks like promising, but I haven't
I
played it
understand
all
the
that much.
concept behind FTO is pretty creative.
So,
Yeah, I like FTL. I'm gonna try to get that at some point.
Yeah, well, okay. What do you think is currently? We'll start out with Trent on this one since Ryan started out last time. Let's start out with Trent. What do you think currently is the most overused thing in video games?
Call of Duty.
What about
Call of Duty?
what in Call of Duty is the most overused thing? One specific thing
The coding.
that doesn't. What in the code? What part of the game is overused?
Copy and paste.
Okay, go
Oh
on.
my god.
Well,
Okay,
I don't know how to
this is-
explain it, but you guys know what I mean.
No, I don't.
Yes, you
No.
do. The entire series.
Okay, since I can't give an actual response, I think the genre itself is being a bit overused because everything now feels like an FPS.
I wouldn't say so much as an FPS as a modern military shooter FPS. As in, everything feels as though it's a descendant of COD 4.
That very specific subgenre you're talking about, not just the entire FPS
Yeah.
genre.
I feel like the whole FPS genre has begun to pretty much replicate what COD 4 did, but in a more modern setting since COD 4
Yeah.
is.
And apparently the only thing that really sets these things apart now is the graphics.
Well, I definitely wouldn't say
fan community.
everything, because
I would say the majority of the FPS genre now focuses on. We're talking AAA here. We're not talking indie. Talking the majority of the AAA FPS games focus towards recreating the ideas behind COD 4, which was, I mean, good for COD 4, but how many times can you keep the same game working? And I mean, there has been changes, but
Slight changes.
yeah, they weren't ridiculous changes, and I really think it stalemates.
they
Like,
weren't $60 worth of changes. I'm sorry, but it's true.
I believe it really stalemates the business as a whole. Because, I mean, how many new FPS do you see coming out?
New? No, there was none.
Tons.
Oh, well, you said new.
New FPS. I meant like not. It doesn't have to be a new type of game. It's the same FPS, a new one.
Oh,
Tons of them. I mean, Black Ops 2 just. I mean, Black Ops 2 just came out, and I think that game sold more than Black Ops.
Probably.
The only thing that's really original about that story is the zombies and the drones in the campaign.
Yeah, but I can point to games of earlier Descent that did the same thing, just as well, if not better. I just really think it's the big problem I see is that people see that COD 4 did so well that they want to replicate that because they don't actually want to make a good game. They want to make the money behind the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They go to make the money, not the game, when they should be going to make the game, not the money.
Well, I don't think that's so much the developers, but more so the publishers. I mean, I would say that there is definitely.
It is more publishers, yes, but I would say there are developers out there.
Yeah, I was about to say. I know there's certainly there are some developers that would rather have the money than have a quality game. Certainly.
And then there's plenty of producers that are like that completely just destroy. I mean, we can take, okay, I think probably the best case for the way the industry of gaming is heading is probably EA buying out Westwood. That was a while ago, but I think that was a forecast for what was to come. So I think, Ryan, you'd be the best to demonstrate this. What happened to let's take the Command & Conquer series. What happened after EA took it?
After EA took it, they kind of destroyed the storyline. Well, CNC3 for the Tib series was pretty good, but Red Alert feels kinda like they went a bit too far with the sci-fi element. And in Tiberium Twilight, they basically just completely redid the whole thing, and it was horrible. Everybody hated that they dropped the whole concept of building bases and went with crawlers.
Yes, I can totally agree with that. So, what can you say was the biggest thing attitude-wise that changed when EA purchased it?
Probably the multiplayer would be the biggest thing that they probably changed.
And how so?
That's actually pretty hard to explain.
You don't want to explain it, Ryan?
Actually, it's impossible to explain. The attitude feels different, but there's not really any differences in the game.
I think really what it comes boiled down to is people love their product in Westwood. Westwood is, the birth of a modern genre, for God's sakes.
Yeah, they basically created a first-person shooter. Why am I saying that? What is wrong with me? Okay, they created real-time strategies.
I was gonna say.
Dune, the first.
That's what I meant to say.
Dune,
and they have
they
do have a pretty good FPS, Renegade. That's the only one they ever got out.
Okay. So we're taking this. We're gonna focus a little bit more on the stalemate. What was what is the thing you, as a child? This is probably gonna be hard for either of you to remember. But what was the thing as a child you guys most wanted from video games as you got older?
I actually didn't care at all about the content. I just played it.
No, I meant like once you got old enough to recognize it. I don't mean as a very little kid. I mean when you got old enough to actually recognize it. What was the thing, like, every year you'd be like, I can't wait till this comes out? And it doesn't have to be a specific game. It has to be, like, a kind of game. Is there not a kind of game you really wanted to always see?
I usually try to go more towards, like, strategy games more than anything. Because, like, I need something to occupy my brain, and a first-person shooter where you can just repeat the same action over and over and over again is not so much to that. Whereas when I'm playing Emperor Battle for Dune, which is like the last thing that came out of Westwood, I have to really work hard to figure out what I am going to do to cope with all these different situations being thrown at me.
Yeah, I can get what you're going at. Okay, Trent, what about you? What was the thing you most wanted from video games?
When I was...
Just the thing you've most wanted over your life from video games.
Well, I've always been one for a good story. Personally. Unless it's like one of those games where it's known for gameplay, of course, then I'm just like, yeah. But, anyways, like, when I first played, like, for example, when I first played Oblivion, I was stupid and played it for the story. But, it was a fairly good story, but it wasn't amazing, and I couldn't wait for Skyrim when it got announced. Of course, I was let down by that, but... yeah. So mostly story, I guess, would be the answer to that question.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I'm gonna... Okay, the thing I wanted to see the most in video games is... not so much as a little kid, but as I grew up more and more, was more open-ended RPGs. In strategy infused RPGs, and by that I mean like RPGs where it's not like well, take Mass Effect for example. Mass Effect is not the style of RPG I'm talking about. It's a really good RPG. Love Mass Effect 1. It's like one of the on the storytelling side of RPGs, it's probably one of the best examples of storytelling RPG. Mass Effect 1.
Yeah, but if you start arguing with a fan of Final Fantasy, like before Final Fantasy X, you would get into a pretty serious debate about that.
Yeah.
7 and 8 were really, really good at storytelling, and they managed to maintain the RPG prospect of it.
I can understand those arguments, but in my personal belief, I believe is the modern pinnacle of what a story RPG should be. Not Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect.
Have you played The Walking Dead?
No, I have not yet played The Walking Dead.
Okay, I would definitely recommend that. And the story in that is really, really good. I mean, it'll probably turn a lot of people away from it, that it's basically one big cinematic that you influence.
Mhm.
But it's actually really good cinematic, and it's really fun to play. And then you
Yeah.
actually do have like this piece where you actually have to use strategies to solve problems. But that's not very common in the game.
Yeah, and those are good. I really do enjoy a good story RPG when they come around, but my personal favorite version of an RPG are the more open-ended RPGs where it's more in your favor, more in your control.
So something kind of like Fable is
Um,
something like along that
Almost,
lines.
but even then, again, Fable is still... Fable's in the middle ground. It's a very heavily influenced by your opinion story RPG. I mean, all RPGs are influenced by your actions, but Fable's like one where it tries to hold on to the story aspects, and it also tries to hold on to the freeform aspects at the same time.
Well, yeah, you have to keep a consistent story, otherwise you're gonna have like massive confusion with the audiences.
No, I'm trying to think of a good example for really, well, I think for it's hard to explain because the open-ended RPG is not really too well-rounded. There's not really many ideas behind it, but it would sort of be like, I think there's an MMO like this. Trying to put it, I know a game I can use, but it's not an RPG really, and it's not that good of a game. Spore.
I actually like Spore.
I did too. It just wasn't that good of a game.
Depends on how you. It really depends on your preferences. I like the games that Maxis comes out with, where you are basically God.
The problem I had with Spore is once you got to space, there was not enough content.
I never even got to space.
How'd you not get to space?
I
That was
got
like
to
the
the
easiest
I got
thing
to
I've
being
ever
a
done.
village.
The easiest thing I've ever done was probably getting to space in 4.
Getting to space is not the problem. It's when you
It's
get.
once you're in space.
Yeah, because getting to the center of the galaxy is really, really hard. Cause
I would have to say, it's not the amount of content I don't like. It's the repetition of content in space.
well, you can only get like so much out of what Maxis just provides for you. But when you open it up to where you are like linked with the global community, it's
I did.
much better.
I did, but even then, it felt like the game sort of lost track of, like, it was all building up and building up and building up, and the second it got to space, instead of like the way it should have done, in my opinion, is sort of like open up, but kept the energy moving. But instead, it felt like the second you hit space, it was like you suddenly stopped. And all the energy you had been building up from previous points in the game, all those hours you had put in to get to where you were now, sort of like the energy you had used in those hours sort of just completely stopped.
Mhm.
And everything just slowed down and you had to restart. And I agree with like taking power away from characters and making them feel weak at points in times, but it just didn't feel right to me in the game. It felt like there needed to be more energy.
Well,
you needed to keep going.
When you actually get going into the space thing, you get those achievements, and that's basically how you start powering up.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and that's
I played the game.
yeah, I know. You just told me you got to space. Of course, you played the game.
Yeah. But I do have to say that it is good on the open-ended side of things because you had literally as much control as a video game could give you on what was going to happen next. What was going to happen next that you were going to do, not that the world was going to do around you that was random. But, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
as much control as a video game could give you, you were allowed to then take that next step in a direction you wanted to, with the basic rules and guidelines that had been set up by the game.
Yeah, they make the game so that you're in control, but it's still organic.
Yeah, it's, I think the open-endedness of Spore was probably the best quality it had going for it. There are gameplay issues and all that we could discuss for hours upon hours, but I think the open-endedness of Spore really allowed it to become something much greater than it had been if it wasn't that open-ended.
Yeah.
And I really miss that. Not so much miss, because you can't say that was a huge prevalent force in earlier games, but I really want that in games. I'm not talking about black and white choices, yes or no, evil, good. I'm talking about there's 40 billion choices all the way in between. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because life is never defined by a yes or no answer. Life is defined by really small changes on the same answer. But I just believe there's a whole bunch of stalements in the current business. I mean, I can think of very few games I've seen that have just broken everything I've thought about video games before. Very few.
Because basically everything has been done by this point.
That it's wrong to presume that though, because just today I discovered a game where you could recreate Star Trek pretty much, and the way it's set up just sounds amazing. But
yeah, well, you can do that in a whole bunch of other games like Minecraft or Garry's Mod. You can do stuff like that. I mean, it's not going to be exactly the same, but it's possible to do it.
I think stalemate has come because video games got so big. So much money was made off of video games.
One thing that I really like in video games is how much actual control you have over what your character does. Like, you could, some games are designed with their mechanics that you actually feel like you're in the actual game, and you control what your character does based on what you do on this thing. Not like the controller or keyboard and mouse style thing, but where you actually are in control of whatever you're doing. Like in Battlestar Galactica, if I were flying around in my ship, I could just my mouse is basically the controls. My keyboard controls my speed, and it feels like I'm actually flying the ship. Not I'm telling my character to fly the ship.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But it's a good way to go with this. I think that really, the problem with it was too many people gave money because the game was 50% of what they wanted. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they have been improving it, of course.
I understand. I guess stalemate's something you always got to deal with and just get past. The new ideas will always come. It's impossible to just keep telling the same stories over and over again.
That's what I really like about MMORPGs and stuff like that, is that the story is the same when you go through it, but what you do actually makes the story completely different. Like, you can choose to do some things and choose to do different things, and that's going to affect how the actual story and how your character evolves.
Yeah. Well, I don't really know what to cover now on it.
What about social games?
Well, you talking like Facebook?
Yeah. Yeah, people are saying that social networking games are the future of video games, but I really just hate them, because if you don't have a large friend base, then you're basically not going to be able to get anywhere.
I wouldn't say the future of gaming, but depending...
That's what some of the critics say, but honestly, I've stopped listening to the critics because they're quite often wrong.
Why were you listening to the critics in the first place? That's a bad idea.
You're the one who was telling us to listen to the critics earlier.
I was saying to listen to Rock Paper Shotgun. That's rock,
Those
paper.
are technically
That's
credits.
rock, paper, shotgun. That's different.
In what way?
Can't tell I'm a fanboy here or anything. No.
Yeah.
Just
I would say with social gaming, it's being used the wrong way. They're making independent social games that function on their own that you would play repeatedly because you get addicted to them. That's how they work. Take Farmville, for example. There is no reward outside of the fact that you make a better farm. The reward is within the game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now,
have you guys ever heard of Ivani?
Ivani? No.
No. It was this game that came out, I think I was in 6th grade when it came out. The mechanics of it were actually pretty original, but the whole problem I had with the game was repetitiveness and the lack of actual functions you could do. There are a lot of games coming out now that have that similar mechanic, but they're more free to like give you.
What's the mechanic in the game?
It's kind of like Command and Conquer, except you have fixed positions to build a game, to build your structures. You can build armies, and stuff like that. But you actually have no control over what those armies do, and the multiplayer was actually pretty limited in the start. You couldn't really do anything. But now they come out with this thing called Stronghold Kingdoms. That eliminate all those issues. Well, a majority of those issues, and they're still improving it.
To get back on the topic of a social networking game, I think they're being used wrong. Because, like I said, the rewards are in-game for that game. And to be honest, as a someone who considers themselves a hardcore gamer, I don't play games for getting rewards in the game. I play them for a satisfaction. You know what I mean? I don't play them so I can show off the fact that I have all these achievements or something. I play them because I get a satisfaction for getting it.
Yeah, and here's another issue I have with these social games. If you don't have a very big friend base in this, there are some exceptions to it, but if you don't have a large number of friends, you're basically going to have to drop a whole bunch of money into the game to get where you want to be.
Well, yeah, but that's
especially
the tactic.
like those games that, exactly like Farmville or the games that come out of that company, whose name I don't even remember, so I haven't played them in so long. Zynga.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can understand that partially because that's the tactic. That's how they make money, because their games are free to play. Now, Trent, you do realize the Hypnotoad's still up?
Yeah, because for some reason it doesn't like to do WoW.
Okay.
And we don't have any viewers.
That's okay. This is going to go on YouTube. Calm down.
Yeah.
Now, as I was saying, the thing I want to see from social games, the thing I think would really be interesting, and I know they have attempted it sometimes, I think Assassin's Creed did it, is an attempt to give me a game that will somehow change the other game I'm playing. The game I consider hardcore. The game I consider I actually want to do.
You play?
Like on Xbox or on my computer. Then they give me a social networking game I can play a little bit on my spare time when I don't want to play that game or for some reason I can't. I can play that. And I know there's one for Assassin's Creed. I think 3, but I'm not sure.
Oh, so you're talking about you play.
The basic idea is it's a Facebook game. It's a social networking game. You play. I don't remember all the details behind it, but I think as you do the missions in it, or like kill people in it or something like that, it gets you like a special couple items that you can't get in game for your Assassin's Creed character.
Oh, the Project Legacy thing?
I believe that's what it's called.
Yeah, it's on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that. It was a cool idea, actually.
Yeah, I like that idea, where you can get bonuses for doing something. And, I mean, we don't always, I will admit, even as someone who loves video games, I don't always want to play video games. There's sometimes where I just want to talk with friends and maybe do something stupid on Facebook. That's the way I am. Now,
yeah, and that's how we all are.
And with that, I think there is one problem they had with that. Didn't the Legacy, didn't it only get you like an item or two? Like an item you couldn't get in game.
I think so.
I don't know.
I
didn't.
was asking Trent because he knew.
Yeah, I don't think I gave you much, but it was
It was like an item you couldn't get in game.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it gave you like some kind of like, not really a buff, but like what would be a buff in say like an MMO or.
Okay. Well, I
know that Uplay tries to give you a lot of out-of-game bonuses
yeah.
for getting achievements.
Yeah, like you get an achievement in the game where you accomplish something in the game that's like when you beat the game or something, and it'll give you like reward
points. You can just buy a bonus. Like I got Assassin's Creed Revelations on Uplay, and I got a lot of bonus content out of that.
Yeah, I did that with Brotherhood too.
Packs for character packs, weapon packs, a background for my computer, which I don't use. I still have Midgar on the background.
I don't see why you would get the wallpaper, because you can probably just find it on Google. Why waste the points? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But
I think they did it the wrong way, because the way with that, it was sort of an item that you got from that game. It was like a one-time deal. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
You finish the game, you got it. I believe like the way you could really tie it together is you make one of those slower-paced strategy games for Facebook. You know, those ones where it takes like 4 hours to do tasks and stuff?
There actually is a game that I used to play called Total Domination that actually works in that way you're talking about.
Yeah. And, well, you take one of those and you have that on Facebook just so people could play it. Like, they randomly log onto it like once a day, twice a day, and do something and then be done with it. Now that produces materials, like, let's say how good you are on there, it produces materials and all that. And then what you do is you go play this game. It's on your Xbox or whatever, and when you go play the game, it's a first-person shooter, but sort of like a team-based first-person shooter.
So what you're talking about is there's a game that works as like an omniscient style of video game.
Yeah.
And then you can go on to another console and actually be in the game.
Yeah.
As one of the characters in it.
Yeah. And what you do in the Facebook game, like how many resources you get, gets bonuses. Then like so, let's say you were able to research faster reloading. Well, now when you play on your team, like let's say you'll have a team, you built a team, and you're in charge of the team. You do the Facebook game. You get like +5 weapon reload for everything. So
that's actually a very good idea, but I think the complexity of it at this current point makes it impossible.
Now, this does bring up two really difficult ideas behind it. One, balancing. Balancing is like impossible with that.
Well,
because how would you balance someone who has more time on their hands so they play the Facebook game more often?
Well, there's one way.
It's kind of like the leveling system for a COD multiplayer. It's not very well balanced.
Well, I guess you could do one way, but it wouldn't be very effective. But there's like really only one way you could possibly do it.
Well, actually, I guess there is a way to limit that whole thing you were talking about by having the levels in game. Like, you can only go to a certain point at each level. And when you're at a different level, it scales what you should be playing against.
That makes sense.
So that noobs aren't going up against pros.
What were you going to say, Chen?
Well, I was actually thinking of two things now that he kind of just brought that up. I just thought about it. But one way was like you said you got like +5 to reloading speed.
Yeah.
Maybe it would give you -5 to accuracy or something.
Well, that's always one way to do it, but I don't...
But, I mean, that's not, like, obviously the best way, but that's the only thing I could think of at the time. But
I don't think that would really encourage people, because you're putting time into the Facebook game. It might be a small amount, but you're putting time into the Facebook game to get pros. You don't want to put time into the Facebook game if it gets you cons as well. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but then the other thing I was
It would
thinking...
make sense balancing-wise, but...
Yeah, but the other thing I was thinking is kind of like the perk system.
Mm-hmm.
Or
you can only keep like a couple at a time.
Yeah, that or like the point system in the in Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
Like like you can have, say, like just like a pistol, but then you can have like 50 perks. Okay, not 50, but you can have an excessive amount of perks.
Yeah.
But like as long as it's like under 10 points, something like that.
Well, I don't know if you have some smooth jazz to randomly play, but I will be right back in 5 minutes.
Hold on.
They're playing smooth jazz.
Well, I have. It's kind of like a mixture of hard rock and jazz, but
Ew.
it's amazing. I have some Maynard Ferguson.
If I could probably like play some of the machinima music I have on
No.
Spotify.
No.
Why not?
No.
I take the good ones. I take the really good ones.
No, we can find something to talk about for the next like 2 minutes. Let's talk about WoW.
Where are you right now?
I'm in.
Oh, you're in the Ebon Hold.
Yes.
I just moved on in the storyline into Zenger Marsh.
I lost the storyline, so I have no idea where to go. Oh, wait. Bring the withered Basidium in Zangermarsh?
I presume the audience was not treated to smooth jazz while I was gone?
No.
You wouldn't have the time to do it anyway.
I couldn't find something that wasn't copyright.
Anyway, continuing on. Let's keep this train rolling.
Wait, when did you cure us for the mana tombs?
It was the highest level I had.
Well, we're working on the issue of balancing.
I can't take the quests. I can't take the quests.
Shut up, Ryan. No one loves you. I'm joking. But working on the issue of balancing, it's really hard to do it because if you do it in the way you mentioned, Trent, where you give them cons, like I said, nobody wants to work towards getting a negative. Put extra work into getting a negative. I'm sure some people will, but not a mass majority.
An idea I just thought of is like you could have a class system.
How would that?
Like,
what do you mean?
Like you can only certain stats only give a bonus to your character, and that would kind of limit like how the players work, and then it would also add a cooperative element to which where you have to have multiple classes to get a balance.
Yes,
I see what you're saying.
That would make sense. And then you guys collectively could run the Empire on your Facebook pages, and like each of the classes could be collectively in charge of different things.
So a guild system.
Yeah, sort of like a guild system. You're making people that would be individually in charge of different things, both Empire-wise and squad-based wise. But you would need to have a big enough squad where at all times you could play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would make something like that kind of difficult.
So I think in order to fight for that, or to balance with that, you would have to have it where like empires can team up, but only for one game. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
or you could have like the empires, and then the empires are parts of bigger groups.
Yeah, though that leads to what's called mega corporation status, where 7 guys could be in charge of half the game, which would.
I think that's actually an issue we're having in Stronghold Kingdoms right now.
But the cool thing about that is that it's both a pro and a con. It's a con because you have 7 guys in charge of half the game, and the other 7, there's probably another half the game is in charge by another 7. The con about that is, 14 people decide the outcome of the game. The pro about that is this makes anybody at the bottom who realizes this want to fight that. So it creates a new level of war. You know what I mean? Where before you only wanted to fight for the point of continuing. Like, let's say every time you fight, you get bonuses that you can take to your Facebook game. Every time you go to your Facebook game, you get bonuses that go to your the first-person shooter. So the two work together. The more victories you get in one, the more you can do in the other. Said for.
So you could have like battles on the ground, and then you have battles where you control bigger armies.
I don't think it would so much be battles as where you control bigger armies, as much as the battles on the ground increase influence, and then the influence you use to, like, the Facebook game would be all economic, and you're just trying to bully people around with your economic power.
But then you still get into the issue of balancing. Like, if people have too much resources, that'll make them more powerful than others.
So I think this is you could, like I said, you could go about it the con way, like pros and con way, like Trent said. You could also go about it the other way. I think you mentioned, Trent, where you limit them, like only this level can fight this level.
No, that was me.
That was you. The problem with that though is then you get the really high level people who are way ahead of other people, surrounded by a whole bunch of low level people.
That's why you would set up like little for lack of a better term, age groups, where you could only go against people who are like in a range of 5 levels around you. And then as you level up, you get more powerful and more experienced opponents.
I can see that. The way let's see, balance is either going to be attained one of two ways. One way is community-wise, and the way it can be balanced community-wise is if you have these, you have the core, you have like the empires, the alliances, and then the alliances of alliances and so forth. You know, they go higher and higher. These groups would be given bonuses for taking along new people. They would be rewarded for taking those who are not yet experienced and helping them become experienced. Now, that's one way the community can balance things, because you always want to be stronger, so you get the bonuses both for taking them and having new people. But that can go wrong, too, very wrong, because they can abuse you just for the bonuses, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So, I think community would probably work the best.
Trent, they all say that you're pulling where you're not supposed to be.
What?
I don't know, some jerk decided to try to kick you.
I'm not getting any of this.
Balls.
I'm sorry I broke down like the fourth wall, or whatever we're gonna call what we're doing.
17th.
But yeah, what?
17th fall. But it really is an interesting concept if you think about it.
Yeah.
And I think more games like that, they don't have to be strategy shooter combos, you know what I mean? It could be any combination of different genres put together. For God's sakes, you could probably have an RPG with a puzzle game on Facebook that helped.
An RPG puzzle game?
No, the RPG is like what you play on your PC or your Xbox or something.
Oh, okay.
And then you play a puzzle game on Facebook or on whatever social networking site to get like loot.
Oh, okay. I was thinking
Let's say there's it's an RPG game, and you can find chests. The way you unlock chests is by going onto your Facebook game and solving puzzles. And those chests could have loot and items to get. And then also that could get you experience from solving the puzzles and everything, and getting higher. And then you could sort of like get items, extra items, just from doing the puzzles and everything. Really, there's an infinite number of combinations of genres you can put together. And it doesn't have to be a 2-game system. It could be a 3 or 4-game system. You can make the game all immersive.
That
yeah,
makes
but
more
the more you try
now.
to put into something like that, the more complicated it gets to actually code that.
Yes, we're not talking about simplicity of coding. We're talking about enjoyment and ideas.
Yeah, but, you know, this is going to be like every other game at this point. We're going to hit a stalemate again.
Yeah, but you should always focus on... The problem is people will reach stalemates that are impossible to get past when they focus on the stalemates. If they don't focus on the stalemates, but focus on continually just reaching further, going towards their ultimate goal, which should always keep going further as well, if they just look ahead instead of looking at the stalemates, they will figure out ways beyond the stalemates. They look at the stalemates and don't look ahead, they will not get past the stalemates.
Yeah. And I wasn't trying to like downplay your idea at all or anything.
Yeah, I know.
Love the idea. But, you know,
it's not an idea. It's not an idea I came up with. It's an idea that has been brewing around in many people's heads. I mean, maybe there's some things I mentioned right now, but others haven't. But things like this have been trying to get across for a while.
Yeah, you can try it out in theory, but then the question is if it actually works.
I think easiest way to make a game like that work is to make it more immersive than just social networking. To make it so immersive that you can see elements of the game in your everyday life. If you wanted to, of course. But where you can see elements of the game in your everyday life, and by that I mean like, what's a good way to put it? There can be, let's take it, it's an interesting idea. It's an MMO horror, like, mystery game. And the idea behind it is, the collective world, the people within the world, are trying to solve one huge mystery. Like,
Okay, so now you're getting into the concept that they create Clue out of.
Sorta, yeah. They're trying to solve a huge mystery, but this isn't just who murdered who or something like that. This is like on the level of like ruling the world or like evil into the world prophecies, stuff like this. These are massive.
Of course, it's not an original idea, but it's still not very commonly used.
But listen, I'm still expanding.
I'm not trying to downplay you at all. I'm just
yeah, I know.
There's got to be some form of criticism on this.
Yeah. Now, the idea behind it is like, I know G4 TV is dying, but let's take them for example. The idea behind it is the way to like further the MMO is to discover new things as a group. So the whole group is like, let's say it's based in like early 1900s, the MMO. The whole group is exploring the different areas of the world, and they're fighting mobs, doing like things sort of like dungeons, but they're different. They're exploring the world, looking for clues, trying to discover things, you know? Mm-hmm. And while doing this, let's say every time the world reaches like a new level of understanding of the mystery, the whole like, it will announce it to the world, you know, what the next stage is, you know? So it's not like everybody's left behind. That it will announce the next stage of the world. Now, what can happen then is let's say they reach the next stage, and once they're there, there's this mystery where there's this ancient riddle that like nobody can solve, and the developers put it in there, and it's been like a whole month. Nobody has still gotten the riddle. And they're sitting there like, what should we do? Well, to further immerse the game, let's take a television network like a G4 TV, or any. Let's just make up a random gaming network, and let's say the gaming network drops a hint about the game. Okay. They drop a hint about the game that at 8 o'clock tonight there's going to be a special announcement. At 8 o'clock that night, there's a special announcement that helps you better understand the riddle. And so for anybody who caught it can now better understand, and they pass it along through social networking and such. The idea is like a group consciousness who is furthering the game, trying to get farther and farther.
So you're trying to put the concept of a hive mind into a video game.
Yeah, they're working together as individuals to reach a common goal. And it can work for even new people. People can show up in like the 14th phase when there's only 18 phases or 20 phases, because it doesn't really matter what level you are. I mean, there will be levels, and as you go higher up, you'll be able to fight bigger, badder monsters and such. But it doesn't really matter what level you are as much as that you keep discovering things. You keep understanding things. It would be a really difficult thing to pull off, but it's
doable, but very, very difficult.
And it doesn't just have to be TV networks. It can be all sorts of things. There could be a Facebook aspect to it. There could be everything. There could be a YouTube channel that drops random videos that help you better understand things. And it allows you to, the whole point of the game is people work as not as a group in the sense that they know they're working in a group, though. You know what I mean?
Oh crap! Don't fear bold. I fear bold.
Nice. No, but not in the sense that they know they're working in a group, but in the sense that they are subconsciously almost. Not on purpose. And it really is a sounds like a cool idea. But I really think just like immersement into the game is where the future of gaming needs to go. Oh crap. Anyway, I feel like this discussion is sort of coming to an end, so I think we should just end it here.
A lot of people have been asking questions in the chat. I think we should probably
a lot of people. It's Devin.
Devin's not the only one in there. There are people who don't have accounts who are talking to us.
That's Devin not logged in. I believe so.
How can you be sure? I hate you, Devin.
Told you. It's Devin.
I absolutely hate that guy sometimes.
Anyway, I think we need to close this up. So it has been Gaming Legion. It's a discussion on the future of gaming and possible gaming ideas. I'm not really sure what we'll get around to next.
What do you
guys think?
I was thinking making it like bi-monthly.
Okay. I was more menting like topic. I think we should just leave them with a tease of what topic we do next.
Quantum physics.
Quantum physics. Oh. No. I think we should do something very controversial.
I'd say this was kind of up there.
Yeah, but
what we were going with.
Very controversial.
Especially the Skyrim thing.
Well,
that was Skyrim already.
That's how it started.
He's been going on about this for hours.
Well, that's how I started it out.
Right,
but
anyways, I think we're gonna end it.
Should cover Fox News.
Yep.
Oh,
the most comedic source of news.
In all of eternity. They do a better job than Stewart. Jon Stewart. At comedy. Anyway, I think we're done for now. Game